Hey everybody, thanks for checking out Basically Biblical. My name is Jesse Lucas, and today we're going to be reacting to a video I think is kind of a good one for us to look at through a Christian view. So, stay tuned. Alright, so for today's video, you may not have heard of this channel before. We're going to be looking at a video from a channel called Jubilee. They have a lot of different content on there. What we'll watch today is some of it's a good one. There are actually several of their videos that I want to kind of do this for. And I'm not trying to do just like a normal, typical React video. Like this is actually going to be something that I think could be beneficial for new believers. Topics that you will face, that you will have to kind of have an idea of how you're going to answer, how you're going to respond. And so this video, I know what it's about because I've seen the title, or I at least have an idea of what it's about. You can make a pretty it's not super hard, which I'll get in the title of the video, and then I'll make a guess as to what it's actually about. But I have not actually watched the video yet, so my reaction will be a live reaction, just as I'm seeing it. So if you're seeing this, that means that there wasn't anything that was too terrible. Jubilee does do some stuff with Christians, and honestly a lot of what they do, at least the stuff that's involving Christians from what I've seen, is good. I think it could be mostly beneficial. And I've seen there's one other video I've seen, and it was Christians were giving an advice to someone kind of anonymously. But it was, there's another channel I watch called Ruslan KD, or Bless God Studios. I'm not sure. He's got actually both of those, and I'm not sure which one it was on. But he did a kind of similar to this reaction. That's what gave me the idea. So I went to Jubilee, and I saw some of the other videos they had. And like I said, I thought this one would be a good one to react to. So this video is if Christians were 100% honest. And the whole concept of this video, you'll see once we get into it, but they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Christians on here. I'm interested to see if they got Christians or if they got Christians, if you know what I'm saying. But they all have white masks on, so you can't see their face. And they kind of walk into this area. They will ask questions, and then each of the people will give their response to it. So it'll be interesting. We'll see. And what I'll do is each of the questions they ask, when they ask it, I will pause the video and I'll kind of give you what my answer would be. And then I may give some commentary as we are listening to what they say. I said, I think so I said at the onset that you can probably guess what the questions are going to be. I would guarantee, there's no one that's actually going to be taking the bet, but if I had somebody to bet, I would bet my next paycheck that there is going to be at least one question, probably more than one, on homosexuality, and there's going to be at least one question on abortion. Feel pretty confident both of those are going to come up at least once each. Maybe even more, but we will see. So we will go ahead and we will jump in to this Jubilee.
What if you could speak your mind without fear of judgment? We brought together 7 strangers, protected their identities, and created a space for them to be completely honest.
Okay, so they're going to take
what will be revealed when they take the mask off?
Okay.
There is
Okay, so here's the questions they're going to ask. There's 6 of them. There's something wrong with LGBTQ plus people, women who get abortions or murderers. Hey, the top 2, I got it. I've had sex outside of marriage. Anyone who isn't Christian is going to hell. I'm scared of dying. I fear losing my non-believer friends and family. I'm interested to hear what they have to say on these. I will wait. I'll go ahead and give my answer to the first one because I think they're going to jump straight into it. There's something wrong with LGBTQ plus people. I will say yes, but not in the sense that most people would probably think. There's something wrong with them because they're human. There's something wrong with all humans. We have a fallen nature. We have a sin nature. There is something inside of us that automatically goes towards sin. We have a slant towards sin. Homosexuality is wrong. It's pretty clear in the Bible. There's really not any way around it unless you're taking stuff out of context versus out of context, things like that. I actually just watched a debate between Apologia Studios, which is another pretty good channel, and Brandon Robertson, who is he got famous through TikTok. He's a reverend. I don't know what denomination he's with, but he is openly gay. He's a proponent of the LGBTQ plus community, and it's kind of a debate between the two of them. It was actually really good. If you ever want to really hear both sides of a topic, either if you're not sure on the topic or you know what you believe on the topic, but you want to know how to debate, how to discuss it, you want to know the strongest points for and against your stance, debates are phenomenal to watch, especially if you have 2 really good debaters on both sides. It makes it really, really, really good, and you can really learn the topic quickly and learn both sides of the topic quickly, which is important. You don't want to just look at your side and never look at the opposition and just look at ways to back up what you believe. That's not a good practice to get into. So debates are really good, but I got off topic. So I would say yes to the top one, but not in the sense that there's anything any more wrong with them than there is anyone else. I am nothing better than anyone else. I believe wholeheartedly that I will be in heaven. I believe wholeheartedly, I know wholeheartedly that is 100% not my doing. I'm no better than anyone else. Like I said, I am simply one beggar trying to show other beggars where to find bread. Everything I have has been given to me through Jesus Christ and the sacrifice that he made. So this first one, there's something wrong with the LGBTQ plus community. I feel like I've done a decent job answering that. I'd be interested to see what kind of answers they have on this one. So,
something wrong with LGBT people.
Okay, so it's a red light if they agree, blue if they disagree.
I'm going to say a strong no. Yes, I believe that homosexuality is a sin, but saying that like LGBTQ plus whatever.
I get tripped up on it too, so I hear a lot of people just call it the alphabet gang.
People, there's something wrong with them as people, as human beings. That's a harsh statement. So it's a hard topic.
So I would agree, and that's kind of why I said what I did. Yes, it's a harsh statement, but it's a true statement. However, it's not just that there's something extra wrong with them. It's no different than me. I'm a sinner. I have a fallen nature. I need Jesus just like they need Jesus. I need Jesus every day. It's not something that I've made that decision and I'm good like every single day. Just keep going. So
this is a really sensitive topic because I know that a lot of LGBTQ people have been hurt by the church.
That's true.
They've been hurt by Christians.
That's true.
I personally have family members who identify as they. who are homosexual. While God hates sin, he loves the people, and he loves the homosexual, and he loves the transgender because he died for them. But the problem that I do see with LGBTQ people is that the lifestyle, it does take away a lot of things. They're depressed, they're lonely all the time, and that's not the life that God called for you. When you receive Christ, the Spirit of God can deliver you from homosexuality. And I've seen it happen. People who identify as bisexual or homosexual, and God delivers them, and they no longer choose to identify that way.
That was good. I really liked that answer. That was really good. And he did. It's important. I think a lot of people, especially in the culture we live in now, there's a big focus on God is love. It's just love, 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 and that's true. But there's part of that they're missing. Yes, God is love, but love does not mean necessarily that you just agree and go along with everything that someone wants to do. No. If my kids want to go play in traffic, I'm not going to tell them yes because I love them and I don't want to hurt their feelings. I'm going to tell, most of my kids are older, but I'm going to tell them, no, that is a very stupid decision. And no matter how much you may think you would like it or how much you may think you'd enjoy it, there's a lot of really negative consequences that go along with that. And it's similar with the LGBTQ plus community. There are, and I don't have the statistics pulled up here right now, but there are a lot of negative, I was going to say negative benefits, but that doesn't make sense. There's a lot of negative consequences. My brain will start working. Negative consequences for living that lifestyle, being in that lifestyle, and engaging in that. Like I said, I don't have the stuff pulled up in front of me now. That's the stats and things like that. But I have seen them, and it's very, very real. Just even looking at the transgender side of it, I think I don't remember how much it increases, but a transgender person they are most likely to commit suicide 7 to 10 years, I think, or within 7 years or within 10 years of having transition surgery. It's not. They've looked at the stats for that. They've looked at specifically, is it because they're being bullied or treated badly or poorly? And the studies don't show that. There really doesn't seem to be any difference, any marginal difference between whether they are in an area that is supporting of their decision or whether they're in an area that's not. So it's a lot of negative. But even if you go beyond that, if you believe the Bible is true, like I do, I'm not just going to say that's fine. Go live your best life. You do you. No, I believe wholeheartedly that the Bible is real. And that means that if you're doing these things, then I believe that you're walking into eternal damnation, eternal pain and suffering. And I don't want that. I don't want that for anybody. I want anybody I want to try to see them out of that lifestyle. I want to, not even just that, but just sin in general. I want to see them in heaven one day. I don't want to see anybody go to hell. And if you're a Christian, you really believe that, and you really believe that that's a possibility, then you're honestly, you're being hateful and reckless by not telling that to people, by not and saying it in love and kindness, not yelling and talking to people like they're worse, anything like that. Like I said, we're no better. We have found the grace of God, and we're living in that, and that's the difference. So I don't know how to say that dude's name. I thought it was Demetri at first, but there's no I in between the D and the M. But that was a good answer. I really like that one. So
One thing, the Lord says that if you have sinned against one law, you have broken all the laws. And so every single human being is wrong. Like, if you ask that question, are homosexuals wrong? Well, sure. But are they a different type of wrong? No, they're not a different type of wrong. They are the same wrong as I am.
I feel
Basically
like
what I said.
we tend to magnify the LGBTQ community. For example, I come from a Hispanic household and sexual abuse is brushed under the rug so many times.
Straight.
But you choose to magnify, let's say, my gay cousin over my molester uncle. You know what I mean?
Facts,
There's something wrong with both.
And the question is then why do we
Okay, so right here, why do we magnify? And he may be getting ready to say this, but I would say that it seems to be magnified in the culture that we live in now because it's being pushed so much by the other side and by just culture in general as being good. The Christian community almost has to like raise that up and talk about it even more to match, just so there's some equal pressure going on. But what she was saying was right. Like, all sin is sin. Now, there are other consequences to sin here on earth, but as far as God is concerned, sin is sin, and punishment for sin is death. Period. So, he may be getting ready to say what I just said, though.
magnify the sin of homosexuality? It's because no one goes around saying murdering's okay, that theft is okay. But there are people going around saying, well, love is love and homosexuality is just love, and they're trying to justify it. And so the church has to do some sort of defense, and that's why this sin gets more attention than the others. And so they can escape their shame not by marching down a street shouting pride, embrace who you are, look within. They can escape their shame by casting it on Christ and receiving his forgiveness.
That was good.
Women who get
abortions.
abortions are murderers.
Okay, so this one is, my opinion's kind of changed a little bit on this. So it used to be, I would say even, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, probably not even that long, I would have said no, for sure. And the reason being is because I don't, at least, so if we're looking at it from a court of law, I've heard people say that women who get an abortion should be prosecuted for murder. And I used to have a hard time saying yes to that because I think there's a lot of women that go through that because they are under the belief that it is not a baby, which is not true. Science refutes that idea. If you look at really anything in science, any biological textbooks, anything like that, it is clear. Science teaches that human life begins. Now, there has been a large shift, and I've seen a lot of women kind of go away from that, well, it's not really a baby, to, yeah, it is, but it's using my body, so I should get to say whether or not it lives. If you have that mindset with it, then I would say in a court of law, yes, you should be able to be convicted of murder. I tend to lean just generally yes on this one. Now, I will say I do have a little bit of nuance with this. Not saying that abortion is okay. However, and pretty much anyone that is pro-life has the stance on it. If it's a situation where the mother's life is in jeopardy, legitimately the mother's life is in jeopardy, as in if the pregnancy continues, the mother will die, then, that's not really a question, because if the mother dies, then the baby dies anyways. And you're just trading a life for a life there. So in that situation, that's horrible. That's part of living in a fallen world. But anybody that I know that is pro-choice, anyone that I've ever seen that is pro-choice has that same stance. If the mother's life is in jeopardy, then they shouldn't be forced to die and then have the baby die too. It just doesn't make sense. But vast majority of abortions, like legitimately over 99% of them, are simply because they don't want to have the baby, period. And that's horrible. That's wrong. But yeah, we'll see what they say. Ooh, unanimous.
It is
Okay, now
God
it's
who
unanimous.
gives and takes away life. Man or woman has no place taking a life that they didn't breathe into. There is no going around that one, I think, for Christians. You kill a baby, that makes you a murderer.
This topic,
Yeah.
sorry, it gets me emotional because I've just seen people go through that, and sorry. And they feel it in their soul and in their spirit that it was wrong. And they deal with that pain and that shame and regret. My husband himself, him and his sisters, they are all a product of rape. And I mean, that's my husband. So to imagine that, like, he wouldn't be here if his mother didn't decide to keep them and raise them, it's sad to think about.
Yeah, and that's the truth of it too. It's tough, and it does a lot of damage to mothers. I think generally, from what I've seen, I do know people that have gone through that have had an abortion. Personally, know them, and I know that it has really damaged them, really impacted their lives in a negative way. Not in the way that we see a lot of society pushing that it's good, it's beneficial, it helps you go on with your career and yada yada yada. But also, rape is horrible. It's absolutely horrible, and I think that there should be much harsher punishments for people who do that to other individuals, especially to women and children. My personal opinion is you should get the death penalty if you're doing that to the most innocent, especially children. But I say with women too. I don't have an issue pushing that. Even as a Christian, I think you should get the death penalty. Not sorry. I think that would stop a lot of that from happening too. But yeah.
Maybe it was not in a good experience. Maybe you were raped. Maybe you were a victim to something abusive. Maybe it wasn't planned. But let me tell you something, God, he's never early, never late. He's always on time. And the fact that you were given this gift of life, and if you can't handle it or you can't take care of it, there are options.
I'm just wondering then, what would you think of people who stand outside of abortion places and try to stop people?
It makes me so upset, like the people who just protest and try to shove and judge and condemn others. That is not love. That is not God. That is not how he would handle people. Jesus is very gentle, and he would not make them feel like they cannot come to the Father because they are in shame or not worthy.
I think she's kind of conflating, or not conflating. She's got kind of a false binary there. So if you're not aware of the lingo, false binary, I mean, you're given two options and you're told that these are the only two options, but really they're not the only two options. So she said, people standing outside of abortion clinics and things like that, and they're condemning people and yelling and treating them badly and all this other stuff. I don't think that's necessarily automatically the case. I mentioned Apologia Studios earlier. Jeff Durbin is kind of the main guy with them, and they do a lot of stuff outside of clinics. And they even but what they're doing, they're trying to talk the mothers into not going through with it. Even saying that they will cover the cost of the bills. They will adopt the babies themselves, and they actually have Jeff himself has actually, him and his wife have adopted a baby that was going to be aborted. So that's not necessarily meaning like you're being horrible, but I mean it's wrong. It's genocide, and it should not happen. So I don't see an issue. Now there are some people like Westboro Baptist Church. They're one, and I really wish they would not call themselves a Christian, because I don't see them as being one. They are not loving at all. They are not trying to help people. They are trying to just condemn people. And Jesus called sin though, which I think you can do, and you can do in a loving way. You look at the example of the woman at the well. She's getting, she's there, and she makes a comment about she doesn't have a husband. After Jesus tells her, "Go get your husband," she says, "I don't have a husband." And he says, "I know. You've had 5 husbands, and the man you're with now is not your husband." So I mean, he called out sin, but you don't have to be brutal or rude or anything like that with doing it. There's a way you can do that in kindness and compassion.
I do want to address, I think there's a misunderstanding about what people do who stand out in front of abortion clinics. What they're doing is not abusing them, they're not attacking them, they're letting them know that there's options, telling them about crisis pregnancy centers, offering to adopt their children, explaining them what an abortion really is. They're doing really important work. And if we all believe that abortion is murder, and we all just said that we do, well then what it is mass murder. It's genocide in the United States. It's worse than the Holocaust. And so I wouldn't want to throw stones at someone who's out in front of the concentration camp saying, "Don't murder Jews." I would want to go alongside that person and applaud that person for being courageous. And I think that's really important work that all Christians should support to help try to fight abortion in this country.